Upcycle Green Technology Auto Shop converts Toyota Corollas into EV pickup trucks. Natal Antononi is the driving force behind this process, a good example of the circular economy. Listen to how his eco-friendly car dealership in Prince Edward Island lowers CO2 emissions twice. Hi, Natal. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, my pleasure to be here.
It's great. So, in the introduction, I talked a little bit about, upcycle green technology and the innovative things that you're doing. But tell me a little bit more about, how it all began, and especially in PEI.
So, I decided to move to Canada 5 years ago. My wife and I to decide to move, and we went to Summerside in PI. We got an endorsement letter from there, and we're in a PNP program. And when you arrived there, our goal was to open a very simple business, a natural food store, something like that. But when you had the first meeting with the officers of the city, they look at our backgrounds, our resumes, and they thought maybe we could do something different, especially because I had some experience in electrification of cars, and they would like to electrify their fleet. So the upcycle start this like this.
That's how it all began back then. Well, that's really great to know that you're using your experience and your knowledge in this way. How does the concept of taking, cars and turning them into trucks, how does that concept fit into the circular economy, where there's no work waste?
Yeah, so first about the small trucks, when you arrived here and the officers asked us to study the electrification of their fleet, they were talking about what they call here light pickup trucks. And the light pickup truck is everything but light. It's a 2-ton car. So it's too expensive to electrify this kind of vehicle. So I remember that in Brazil, we had a lot of really small pickup trucks, trucks made using a compact car and converting it into a truck, and make much more sense for the level of the battery technology you have nowadays. So we go in this way. The concept of circular economy we decide to use because it's kind of our philosophy here in Upcycle. We just don't believe in the word waste. We just think that waste is just good raw material put in the wrong place. So, for example, when a car arrives in the end of its life, they go to a scrapyard. In the scrapyard, they just smash the car and send it to be melted. But you have inside the car not just the steel that they are going to reuse, but you have plastic, you have rubber, you have glass, you have a lot of fluids, a lot of different metals. So it's a shame. It's a shame, and you can see it very well here because when you disassemble the cars to start the conversion to a pickup truck, electric pickup truck, we can see the amount of plastic and other materials we remove from the car, and this material usually just go to the waste and became trash, and that's a pity because it's a very, very good raw material for other activities.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now, walk us through the process of taking a 2009 to 2013 Corolla, and maybe explain why you choose that year and model. But walk us through the process of those cars and how you convert them into an EV truck.
Okay, so one of the things that you realize is to have a competitive price to make the electrification of the cars, we need to make a serial production of these cars. So we started looking after what car should be the best alternative for us. And the best selling cars in Canada with kind of 15 years, that was our target, was the Corolla, the Honda Civic, the Hyundai Elantra, and the Volkswagen Jetta Golf. We make a lot of research about the pros and cons of each one of these cars, and in the end we decide to use the Corolla, especially because they are very resistant to the rust underneath the car, and it's a very big problem here in Canada. We don't have this in Brazil, where I'm from, but here it's a big concern.
It would be. And the Corollas, where do you purchase the Corollas? Do you take trade-ins? Like how do you get your hands on those makes and that model?
So basically now we are buying in the market the cars here in PI, in Nova Scotia or New Brunswick. So it's very easy to find Corollas. From 2009 to 2013 was produced kind of 200,000 of these cars. So we have a lot of them around.
Yeah.
If you think just in Canada, if you think in North America, you have more than 2 million of these cars just these years. And these cars in a few years are going to be in a scrapyard. And that's a shame. That's a shame because it's a very good car. It's a very good conditions yet, but usually the engine is not good enough and things like that.
Definitely. I used to have a Corolla back in the day. So I was one of those. So how long does it take? How long does it take? And can I simply bring in my own car to you to get converted?
So our goal is to produce 100 cars each year. The total inside process is kind of 8 hours of work. And if you bring your Corolla from the year we use here, you can get you a rebate for that car and use your car.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
But if people ask me if can I bring every car to you to convert?
Yeah.
Yes, you can, but if you bring me bring another car to convert, the price is going to be too high, and your car is going to be a prototype. Because I don't have time to test it. You are not going to let me to stay with 1 year with your car to test your car, and you are not obviously going to pay for that. So
right.
It's
not
hard
within me to buy a new EV at that point.
Yeah,
so.
Sure.
Exactly, and that's why you're focusing on EV trucks, for fleets, for the commercial side. Is that right?
Yeah. Our first idea was to sell these cars for fleets, especially because it has a design that's not new, and people buy cars not because the technical specifications. People buy cars by passion. People look at a line and say, "I love that line. I need that car," or "I hate that line. I am never going to buy that car." But if you have a fleet, the way you think is different. You think, no, this car is good, is reliable, has a good price, and you will save a lot of money using this car in my fleet. So that was the goal. So you have a car that is remanufactured. So we give you warranty of this car. It's like a new car with a kind of design that is not really new.
It's interesting because behind you are a couple of vehicles that you can see. The front is the Corolla and the back is the truck. So
exactly. That's
great design.
This first one is our first prototype we made in Summerside. It's a road legal car. In the back of these, you can see just the roof there of the second, and behind is the first pre-series car, you can say, is the final product we have. So it's ready to be produced.
What kind of batteries are used, and what type of charger is needed for your vehicles?
Okay, you use lithium NMC batteries, the same that Nissan use in the Nissan Leaf. And to charge it in level 2, it's 4 hours, and level 1 is 8 hours. That's the two kind of chargers you used to have at home. Level 3 is it's kind of a charger of $50,000, so nobody's going to buy one to charge its car at home.
Exactly. And the range on these vehicles, they're more for urban driving, are they, would you say?
Yeah, they are thought to be that kind of last mile delivery vehicles. So the range, we have one model with 150 kilometers and another model with 250 kilometers.
And the wonderful thing is that you already mentioned you do get the PEI provincial rebate, for your vehicles, which was
Yeah, that was an incredible thing for us, not just because of the rebate, but to be recognized as a company that produces something meaningful for the fight against the CO2. And it was funny because in the beginning, the rebates was just for new cars. And I went to talk with the officers here of the government and asked them, but what's the goal of this rebate? The goal of the rebate is to reduce CO2. Okay? My car reduced twice because I reduce once when I'm using because there's no emissions, and I reduce again when I'm producing because I'm not produce a new car. I remanufacture an old car that the production of CO2 was made 10 years ago. So I can say I saved twice the CO2, so I want twice the rebate, of course. I didn't get that, but I got the provincial rebate here. It's a very good rebate, more than $5,000. So it was amazing for us.
And you're also reducing CO2 emissions twice.
Yeah, that's the big deal of the rebate. If I try it at federal level, but I didn't get it yet. But I'm working on that, and I use the same idea because if the idea is to reduce the CO2 or the greenhouse gas to be more generic, and I'm reducing twice with the way the technology you are using here, it's fair that I receive at least the same rebate of a new car.
What's next for Upcycle? What are your plans ahead?
So we have a lot of projects here inside, but the main project to start our production now. So now we're looking for funds to start the production because now we need to set up assembly line. And now is really where the big money starts to be necessary, not more grants or funds, things like that. We are very grateful for the government, the provincial, federal government, and even the municipal government that help us till now. But now we need more than that to really set up the assembly line.
Well, I really hope that this podcast catches the interest of some potential people who are out there and want to have a further conversation with you.
Thank you very much. I hope so.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me today, Natal, and continuing doing the great work that you're doing on PEI.
Thank you. It was a great pleasure to participate in your podcast.
Thank you to Sandra Moore of the PEI Clean Tech Academy for introducing me to Natal. Do you have a company who you think would make a really great guest on this podcast? If you do, visit our website at reimaginedenergy.com, pop us a note, and we will definitely take it into consideration if they make a great guest. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Maria McGowan.